Hello, everybody. It is Chris Mullins, the phone sales doctor with IntakeAcademy.com. And welcome again to another one of our expert interviews as part of our expert interview series. And I'm excited. I was just getting prepped a little bit here by my friend and colleague that is waiting to share some terrific information with you folks, always about conversion and improving the bottom line. Of course, only if you're implementers, and I know that all of you that are listening are, right? Right. Okay, terrific. Well, so today we have with us, actually some of you may know him, and if I don't pronounce your last name correctly, Frankie, you can just correct me, but his name is Frankie Fihn. Did I do that right?
Yep, just like on a shark.
All right. So listen, Frankie Fihn, and anyway, I'm going to let him go ahead and introduce himself, and I want you to make sure that, as always, you take notes. Take notes, and then do side notes. And as a reminder, what side notes are is as you're listening to Frankie or anything in life or reading anything or whatever, you always get these little feelings in your gut as soon as you hear something that is like magical to you, like ding ding ding, like it feels like, hey, I like that. Well, all those I like that, just we call them side notes. So write side notes on your piece of paper if you have paper, and put the ding-dongs that you get, those feelings, those moments of what he said under that, because those are the things, believe it or not, that you will more than likely implement and implement quickly and first. And then don't forget to send your will, what I learned, to Beth, be like boy, ETH, at IntakeAcademy.com. Beth at IntakeAcademy.com, and it's that simple. And you just say, hey, Beth, here's what I learned on Chris's expert interview with Frankie Fihn, and here's how I'm going to apply it. And that's it with that. Frankie, go for it. Tell everybody who you are.
Well, thanks so much, Chris. Actually, I first just want to say that I love your enthusiasm. It's always fun to connect with you.
Thank you.
If somebody kind of doesn't know me already, I guess I'm kind of known for, I write for Attorney at Law magazine. I am the director of marketing at PILMA, which is for a specialty group for the personal injury lawyers, which is where we met. And I've also kind of helped my clients on Oprah and Dr. Phil and NBC News, and been very fortunate to work with some kind of high-profile people to, in general, help them make over $20 million and counting. And really kind of what I help people do is three things, which is, largely using the Internet to get people in the door so you get new business in a way that's done integrity-based and kind of maintains your sort of expertise. There's a lot of ways to get people in the door, but some of them can be, really cheesy or not someone's style if you're not one of those really kind of over-the-top and brash people. Secondly is, once you get people in the door, is to parlay that into repeat and referral business. And then the third thing is when you do get all that business, not to give yourself an 80-hour work week once you do, so to design the whole thing with leverage in mind so you get freedom as the owner of the business. So that's, if somebody doesn't know me, I guess that's what I'm known for more than anything.
Hey, Frankie, I'm going to interrupt you for a quick second, okay?
Yep.
So here's something that, so I just gave you a new book title, Frankie, How Not to Work 80 Hours a Week.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, I just want to remind everybody really quick is don't make sure you just listen to the whole interview here because at the end we have a great, I have a great offer for you, and I know that Frankie has some information for you as well. Okay, go, Frankie.
Yeah, I was just going to say, one of the things we find that, and Chris, I know you experience this, is a lot of, law firms and medical places, when they do get the business, it creates such almost like a shock wave through it where they're so busy and then they can't really market, and then what happens is they stop doing it, and then it creates these kind of like feast or famine roller coasters. And so it's not just about getting more business. It's generating more business in a way that actually gives you a personal life, so you can do whatever you want with it, whether that's go golfing or spend time with your family.
So are you trying to say, like, and if I got this wrong, no problem. Are you trying to say, hey, yes, you want to get more business, and there are ways to do that, and I can actually help you figure out how to do that. But you also have to think about what happens when you do. That way, you don't overextend yourself and your team in such a way that you just like lights out and you're never home.
Yeah, exactly. I actually had this in my own, kind of side consulting business where, I got really good at the marketing and started working for a lot of really prominent law firms, and they would all kind of bring me in the door to do these various things. But what would happen is, one person would want me to show them how to make Facebook work, and another person would want YouTube, and another person would want help generating referrals. And when that's all good, but what happens when you do it is you're really, as the business owner, the only one who knows how to do all those different things, and so it requires you to be everyone to everything, right? And so as a result, I couldn't really free myself. And I know, a lot of people listening probably have had that exact experience, and really, there's a lot of little things that go into the solution, but probably the biggest piece is when you design with the end in mind, you focus really on reusing, like I got that beat into my head as a kid, reduce, reuse, and recycle, and you really want to think about that as your business, where when you create something for one person who comes into your office is really, bringing in somebody who's almost exactly like the first person so you can reuse as much of it the second time.
So let me ask you a question really quickly. You just said you got that into your brain, so to speak, as a kid. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it was kind of like when we grew up. I don't know if you guys had that where you're from, but really big emphasis on recycling and reducing your waste and stuff like that. And I never realized it was actually a pretty powerful business lesson, because if you don't design with the end in mind, what happens is it's a very, very difficult feast or famine income roller coaster that really owns you. But I don't know if there's really a great story there, because
okay.
It was just kind of my.
No, but you know what? It just that alone is interesting what you said. So design with the end in mind. Go for it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is I have a little exercise we could actually do right now that's really, really powerful, that shows you how to figure out who you actually want in the door, and then what to say to them to actually get that. So the first thing is if you're listening to this, just think right now about the worst clients or patients you've ever had that came through the door. Like, just think about the 5 worst people, and then ask yourself what they all had in common. And if you do that, usually you'll find that there's a certain attitude. They probably didn't pay very much, and then there was also a pattern for the type of work that they did. So it may be, low-value cases, or, but, generally, like, low-value clients are the kind of types that will email you 26 times, want the moon, and, of course, not willing to pay for it. Now, the flip side of that is think about the 5 best clients you've ever had, and what all they have in common. So when you do that, you'll start to probably notice a few things when you think about the actual best people who've ever came through your office. Is they probably had higher value work. They treated you like an expert. They kind of left you alone. You enjoyed the types of work that they actually brought to your office. And, when you see the key difference between the two of them, my thing is, why not just specialize in the good ones and just forget about the bad ones altogether? And so when you think about that, there's a specific and strategic way to actually get those types of clients in the door, or patients if you've got a. And the way to do that is first to kind of, I guess, understand what most businesses do wrong is when they create a message, it's a very like we-centric message. And I was at one of our Pilma masterminds, and there's a guy there, you probably know him, Chris. but I won't use his name just because I don't really have
Yeah,
permission to do it.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he's basically like an old Yoda who signs up 1,500 cases a month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so obviously when he speaks, everybody listens. And he was saying, what's the most important word in any sort of advertisement you use? And the answer was really, really simple, which is you.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Right, so he does personal injury, so he was saying it's your pain, it's your suffering, it's your lost wages,
mm-hmm.
right? And, that you part of it really matters a great deal. And so the way to kind of really come up with a message that's integrity-based, that shows people what you do and kind of attracts your ideal client, first starts with is you have to start the conversation in what they think is true about you, not what you actually do. And we find that when people come in the door, they have a lot of ideas about what they think lawyers or doctors do that aren't necessarily factually accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first thing that you start your message is, I ask, what are the 3 biggest things they believe about you that aren't true?
Mm-hmm.
And so this usually takes form in the questions they ask. So like in the example of personal injury, the first 3 questions they're going to ask you, more than likely are, how much money am I going to get? How long is it going to take? And, do I even need a lawyer? Should I do this myself?
Mm-hmm.
And so that really shows you what they think is true about you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. And so when you do that, what happens is as a result of like false beliefs that they have about you, clients or patients tend to make mistakes either in the form of trying to do it themselves or saving money by going to somebody else that's cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next thing you want to look at is, what are the 2 or 3 biggest mistakes you see clients or patients make routinely and religiously?
Mm-hmm.
And then as a result of those mistakes, there's always consequences. And so what you really do in its essence is you spare people the consequences of these kind of horrible actions. So the next thing to ask yourself is, what are the 3 to 5 biggest consequences of doing something or, trying to cheap out and hire somebody else or do this themselves
mm-hmm.
or not address it at all?
Mm-hmm.
And what you'll find is obviously there's a whole range of really kind of difficult symptoms that they experience. And then the next question is how do you make that faster and easier on themselves? Because
mm-hmm.
there's usually 3 to 5 identifiable ways that you make that whole process a lot simpler. So, for example, again, if you're a personal injury lawyer, you help people
mm-hmm.
get more money from the insurance company than they would get themselves, right? So there's something you do that makes their lives faster and easier
mm-hmm.
as a result of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last piece is, what are the basic steps you actually do, you're used to do that? Like, how do you actually do that? And I'm talking
mm-hmm.
just like high-level overview.
Yeah.
Now, if you put all that together, that is actually a formula for it in a very integrity, expert-based way to explain to somebody what you do. So, like, if I did this to lawyers, I would say the myth is that most lawyers falsely believe the answer to their marketing problems is a thing. And so what happens is the mistake they make is they try PPC or they try AVO or they try buying leads and they try all these
mm-hmm.
things. And the consequences of that are, really just losing money month after month. But worse than that is it really starts to train your confidence to the idea that nothing works. And so you feel like, every time an advertising person comes to sell you something, that it's a waste of money and it really just slows down the growth of your firm. And so for me, for example, what I help people do is just to get it right the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So that, they're able to make advertising work out of the door. And what you find is when you're spending $1 to get $6 back in client fees or patient fees, you
mm-hmm.
can just keep doing it forever. Like right now on social media, we're advertising getting consultations in the door for $76 right now. And, if you're paying $76 for something that's, much higher value, how often are you going to do that? Obviously, as often as you can. And then, of course, how we do that is through various advertising media. But that's really the template in a nutshell, which we use, which is start the conversation in the things they believe about you that aren't true, And then as a result of those beliefs, they're doing things wrong. So what are the mistakes you see them make? And as a result, those have consequences. And then somewhere along the way, you make it easier, faster, better for them. How do you do that? And, what are the basic steps involved? And if you do that, what you find is you can, in a very non-hypey, integrity-based way, tell somebody how you're going to really benefit them and communicate the value of your services in a way they understand. That's, like I said, it's not hypey. It's, because, what we see a lot in the various masterminds and stuff we do is some guys are just really big TV lawyer personalities. I'm sure you know a few of those types.
Mm-hmm.
But not everybody is. Some people are just, more introverted and kind of more low-key. And how do you get business in the door when you're not the giant brash personality? And it's really that formula that is the backbone of doing it, because it takes somebody through their understanding to yours and how you can help them. And then when you find you do that, we call it a universal message. And what that means is it's really all about the client, and more importantly is that the message itself lends itself to really any media. You could make that work in social media. You could make that work, on a website listing, or you could make it work if you preferred videos.
So here's what I just to because you give a lot of great information, and I just want to also remind everybody to go to PILMA as well. So PILMA, P-I, that's P like Paul, I-L-M-M, so Mary, A.org, PILMA.org. So because here's what I want you to do. I want you to sign up for the FAST implementation boot camp, and I believe, I don't know if that's separate from, but you should, okay, in addition to that, I want you to go to the summit. Go to the 2016 summit, and so you'll get this reminder in plenty of time. It's in Utah. There's no excuses. You can still get there. It's September 21st to the 24th. Frankie will be there. I'll be there speaking, and all the great speakers will be that you love and you're accustomed to get the real core meat that you need to have. It's worth the trip more than ever, but it's also worth the networking. And I'll have a few surprises for you as well. You'll get to meet me in person as well as Frankie and Ken Artisan. But you need to do that. So just don't forget to go to PILMA, PILMMA.org, and check that out. But a couple of things I just wanted to say that you were saying, Frankie, is that here's and I know you just so everybody, Frankie is really being very gracious because he's got to catch a flight. How much time left do you have, Frankie?
I probably got about 7 minutes before I have to head out the door.
All right. Well, that works perfectly for all of us. So that's terrific. Bottom line is, it sounds like to me that your blueprint style, your conversation that you just had with us, it's definitely integrity and relationships. But here's what it is, everybody, and Frankie, correct me if I'm wrong, it's really what we always talk about. It's digging down deep and drilling down and making yourself vulnerable to bring out the real stuff about yourself and remind yourself of what that is, and then either doing it, not really doing it yourself, but having an expert take it and put it together as the package. So wear your heart on your sleeve, allow yourself to be who you are. So when people think, the top three things, money and how long is it going to take, about law firms, and, do I need a lawyer? So you need to work that backwards and tell them everything that's the opposite. Remember the reason why you started a law firm. Tell them that story. Tell them the truth about yourself, the days that you have that are magical, wonderful days and why, and the days that you have that might not be and why. Talk about your team. So that's why you need people like, Frankie and other experts to help get that out of you, because not all of us are comfortable with sharing that with anybody, personally or professionally, let alone know how to. But also a lot of usins, at least that are on this particular program, we're not really we're mostly entrepreneurs, highly successful entrepreneurs, and, we don't always implement right away, because we want other people to do it. So it's the emotional pain. It's the emotional pain. And when everything Frankie says drives right back to what you hear us say, Chris Mullins and the Intake Academy, all the time. You need to know the why. Why did Mary or John or Mr. Smith or Mrs. Smith, why now, why today did they actually call your firm? Why? No. It's not a car accident. That wasn't it. What is it? And so that's why what Frankie is saying is so congruent to Chris Mullins and Intake Academy world, because he's speaking the same language and he's just doing it a little bit differently to draw the marketing out. So do you have a couple of last things that you want to say and emphasize to everybody, Frankie?
Yeah, actually, what you just said is totally right. Is what I find more than anything, what most people do wrong when they're trying to generate business is they're answering the what, which is, we do personal injury, we do estate planning, we're a plastic surgeon, whatever it is. And like you mentioned, is the why. And just a little point on the on making yourself vulnerable and being, real and integrity based, which is, I kind of liken it to this. Like, imagine somebody designs a pill and they tell you it's like a natural cure for cancer. Like, immediately as a buyer, your skepticism just goes completely haywire, where you go, it's BS. But imagine if somebody said, they told a story and said, 7 years ago I watched my mom die of cancer and I couldn't live with it, and I spent the next 5 years trying everything I could to try and find a solution for it. I've tried over 1,000 different formulas, and we finally, after 5 years, cracked the code and found one that worked, and this is it right here, and I want you to try. I'm not going to promise you it's going to work for you, but it's worked for a lot of people, and I really think it'll help you. Most people think that you're supposed to tell everyone how great you are, but I can promise you the second guy in that example is going to sell a whole lot more stuff by just being honest and real and, like you said, like being vulnerable. And so, it's not a bad thing to show people your staff or give them a peek in the door of who you are and how you're going to help them and all those things. So I think that was really eloquent and awesome, and thanks for kind of doing that. I probably have about 3 minutes left right now. All
right, so go ahead. So at the end of the day, show your truth. Why don't you go ahead, and I'm going to actually do something for everybody too, but quickly tell everybody how they can reach out to you if they want to have a chit-chat or however it is that you would like to do that.
Okay, I guess the best way, I really appreciate you doing that, is, the backbone of really kind of what that we teach is if you're going to do all that work to generate business in the door, you might as well have a way to generate repeat and referral business. So that's usually the place we start with. And, as you know more than anybody, is referrals are a lot of little touches. It'd be nice if it was just one thing, but, it's always little things that exceed people's expectations. And there's a lot of really simple ways we've learned to do that from, just all the different law firms we've been able to interact, some of the most successful and, state leaders and biggest in their market. And so what we've created is a little 26-point referral checklist. And so it just shows you all the things that we've kind of stolen from the best law firms that you can translate into your own practice. And that's available for free, that checklist. You can get it at lawyerclients.com.
Okay, so lawyerclients, meaning plural, .com, and they can get the 26-step checklist.
That is correct.
Okay. Anything else you want to let folks know?
Just that, I think it's really awesome that you put together a group of people that implement and, actually do this stuff. And I know, obviously, the road of the entrepreneurial lawyer or, doctor is difficult, but you guys are really doing a great thing. And the real difference you're making is the clients you serve and the patients you serve by answering the why and actually helping them. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there as well.
Okay, well, terrific, awesome. So listen, here's what I want everybody to do. So definitely reach out and show, how grateful you are for this program, Ask for Frankie's time. and reach out and follow his instructions and go to his website. And also what I wanted to say is everybody that does the assignment that Frankie gave, there were two things he said at the beginning. List your 5, I think it was like the 5 worst clients that you ever had. Was that right, Frankie?
Yeah.
Okay. And then also list the 5 best clients. And then for each of those categories, you're going to list, I think it was like what it was that you felt made them be the 5 worst and what it was that made them be the 5 best. Was that pretty much it?
Yeah, and then what happens is start designing your practice on purpose to be for the ones you actually like, and you'll find the whole thing gets a lot easier.
Okay, so everybody that does that, just do it. Email it to Beth, B-E-T-H, at intakeacademy.com, Beth at intakeacademy.com, and put in the subject line, just put the word Frankie, and everybody that does that, and of course, put the name of your, the lawyer and your firm or business address and all of that, and as long as it's mailing address and everything. And what we'll do is we will send you a free autographed copy of our book, Intake Specialist, The Unsung Heroes of Law Firms Worldwide, and then you'll be on the list to get our new book coming out, Lawyers, The Unsung Heroes of Law Firms Worldwide. And that, for today, that is it, everybody. So have a blast, have fun, and can't wait to see everybody do that assignment. And, Frankie, I'll let you know how that went. And have a great day, everybody. We'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.